Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by my channel today. If you are new here, my name is Kim and I'm an elementary school teacher in Yokohama, Japan. I am also a dog mom. Some of you may remember my Pomeranian Sinbad, and he was with me for 15 wonderful years. He passed away about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. And I now have this little guy next to me, Bandit. And January 25th was Sinbad's birthday, and I had made a little memorial video for him. I did it in shorts form and put it with some music. I received beautiful, heartfelt comments. Those of you who knew Sinbad either in real life or through Periscope or through my social media, you know that Sinbad was very, very special to me. And he was the first dog that I got here in Japan. Yeah. He was the first dog that I got here in Japan, and we started out in Shizuoka, and he came with me to Gunma and then here to Yokohama. So he moved quite a lot in Japan. Anyways, I got a request from Not a Toxic Gaming Channel. Not a Toxic Gaming Channel wrote a message to me in my comments, and after I read it, I got very, very teary-eyed because I understand what you're going through. And Not a Toxic Gaming Channel made a request and asked if I would make a video about how to deal with pet death and how to move forward, I guess. So I decided I would try my best to make a short video, but I don't know if I have the answers. I wish I had the magical solution, but I think death of a pet or losing a pet, maybe it's not even having to do with death. It could be maybe your pet got stolen or ran away, or especially with so many natural disasters happening all over the world, you might have been separated from your pet and are trying to get back together. I'm going to move this. It's so difficult to deal with the loss of our pets, whether it be a dog, a cat, a bird, a hamster, a fish. I think for a child, it's one of the most traumatic experiences, and maybe even the first time you're dealing with death. Those of us that live alone or maybe have our own families, having a pet, it's just like having another family member. And I know there are people that will say or believe otherwise, but don't let that interfere or make you feel guilty for the emotions that you're going through. I quickly wrote down some things which I hope can help you or help those of you that are going through such circumstances cope a little bit better. But like I said, it's been over 2 years and I still have days where I may pull out a photo album and just start crying, or a memory comes from just some random moment. I still have all of Sinbad's pet clothes, a lot of his belongings, some of the things I had to get rid of. I still have a little food container of some of his favorite treats and snacks, and I'll get to that as to why in just a little bit. I also thought it wasn't fair to Bandit to have everything as a hand-me-down because I'm sure the smells are still on there. So Bandit has his own set of toys as well, although he does sometimes wear Sinbad's clothes that were too small for Sinbad, and right now they're about just right for Bandit. One of the ways that helped me cope was understanding the way Japanese or Buddhist traditions handle death. And it's very similar to the same way they handle funerals and ceremonies and memorials for people. So I had to do a little bit of research because when Sinbad passed away, I didn't know what to do. If you saw my video about the funeral service, I have one there. I also think I have a live where I talk about pet death. So if you want more information on what I was going through at that specific moment, please feel free to check those videos and watch them. To summarize just very generally what happens with a pet death here in Japan is they have memorial places just like they do for people. And you make arrangements with the, I guess, funeral director or memorial director. And there are different packages that you can purchase. It sounds really corny and it sounds really extravagant, but for me, it was something I wanted to do. And I think most people probably do some sort of ceremony. However, if it is not your belief or it is out of your budget or you don't see the purpose of doing such a ceremony, you can just have your pet taken care of by, I think, City Hall or someone will come and pick up your pet. But I wanted to do the whole thing. I wanted to have the ceremony. I wanted to have Sinbad's ashes. And I chose a plan that was affordable. And the people there were so nice. And I'm sure any memorial place that you go to, you'll be dealing with people that are very sensitive and understanding of what you're going through. Now, one of the things that Buddhist rituals believe is that when you pass or when you, I guess, are getting ready to be cremated, it's looked upon as more of a journey. Your body or your outer shell is being cremated or being, I don't want to say destroyed, being burned to allow your soul to go on to the next phase of your journey. On the journey, you're put in a basket, or you can bring your dog bed or whatever you decide to put your pet in. Some people just bring their pet in a cardboard box. I paid the money to have a basket, and if you hear snoring, that's Bandit snoring, sorry. In your basket or in the journey, it's almost like you're taking a little trip. So they ask you to bring food for the journey and put it in a paper container, not a plastic container. So a paper plate, or wrap it up in a napkin. The reason why no plastics is because when they cremate and they burn it, they don't want any toxins, right? Also along this journey, anything that they may want to bring on the journey, but I don't think they allowed certain toys, once again because of toxins or the possibility of it not being safe when it burns. But the thing that really got me, I guess, gave me some closure is they ask you to write a letter and put it in an envelope and seal it, and that's the letter that your pet will take on their journey to the next life. It was really, really hard to write that letter, and I filmed myself reading the letter. I just actually did the audio, and I was intending to post it someday, but I still haven't gotten over that. I still can't listen to that without tearing up, and I did cry when I was reading it. It was mainly my message to Sinbad and thanking the other pets that Sinbad had become friends with. Some of them had passed on as well, and others are still here. And so the message was kind of telling Sinbad that, you know, that they're cheering him on, etc., etc. If it's something that you need to do, I think writing a letter to your pet, and another thing they tell you to bring is a photo. So putting photos of people or memories that you want your pet to take with you to the next life can also be included in this letter. I don't know if you can do that in other countries, or I don't know if they have the same sort of customs, but it does help to express everything, even though when you're writing that letter, it's tears galore. And then having that collection of photographs. And then when they get cremated, all this stuff goes into the next journey with them. One of the things that the memorial place did as well was before they go into the basket, they take the paw prints and they ask if you would like a paw print. So some people you've already done paw prints of your pets, or I don't know if they do the same for birds or hamsters, but having something, a memento of your pet. They also invite you to take hair samples or anything physical, but one of the things that was included in my package was getting a piece of Sinbad's bone to put in this little charm. I think I might have put it in the memorial video. And yeah, it's something that you can keep with your, of your pet forever. I think some people find it perhaps a little morbid to have a body part or a bone. But for me, it was important to have something. The other thing that they do in funerals here in Japan, and this is not only for pets but also for people, is after the cremation, the bones are placed into the urn, which is why you hear so many different reasons, or not superstitions, but things that you're not supposed to do with chopsticks because the bones are passed with chopsticks. The person at the memorial hall had the bones all laid out. It was actually Sinbad's skeletal body in the order of how his skeleton was. And then they ask you to choose a bone, so I chose a part of his paw, a finger bone, a paw bone, and they put it in the little charm. And then they have the burning, and you wait in a little waiting room, and then you get the ashes. And Sinbad's remains are in the ashes. And I'm noticing There are a lot of other YouTubers I follow who have lost pets and who did similar ceremonies. So if that's something that is important to you after your pet passes, is to have their ashes, or to have, some people, maybe depending on what religion you are, maybe you bury your pet in a pet cemetery. Maybe you have your pet in some sort of mausoleum or family altar. For most families in Japan, they usually keep the ashes in a family vault or in an altar in the house. So I have an altar of our relatives, and instead of the ashes, I have, or my family has, photos of those that have passed. And with Sinbad's ashes, it's in a really nice urn, and I have a little memorial that's made for him. After you have your altar set up, and after the services and the funeral is done, on the 49th day after your pet is passed, you have a special ceremony, because the belief is on the 49th day is when their soul crosses over. And you, of course, want a peaceful crossover. In my mind, I guess everybody has to imagine it in a way that makes sense to them or gives them comfort. So I'll share with you my image, but like I said, to some of you it's going to sound maybe ridiculous or silly or maybe over the top. But I envision like these gates of heaven, and it's just like some of those cartoons that you see, and Sinbad is, in his floating stage and arrives along with a bunch of other pets that have passed on the same week or similar time, and it's their 49th day, and the gatekeeper lets them in and takes them to the family area or to the area where he's welcomed. So my vision is he enters, and there he sees his friends. He sees my former pets, Sundance and Smokie, waiting for him. He sees my dad. Okay, wait. I didn't want to cry in this video. I know, man. But if you have a vision of like what you imagine to happen, no matter how, dramatic it is, I think it gives you comfort. We honestly don't know what happens when we die or when we cross over, right? But I think to imagine something that you hope happens gives you a little bit of comfort. At least it does for me. Okay. Sorry about that. I really thought I could keep it together. All right, my other tip. My other tip is that I think it's important to surround yourself, or maybe connect with other pet people, because pet people, animal people, understand. They understand the grief you're going through. They understand the hurt, the tears. Whereas someone who's never had to experience that. They may be comforting, but they don't know. And that's just totally my opinion. I think it helps in my job because I work with children, right? And children that have had pets and that have had to go through the loss of a pet, when they hear you tell your story, they understand and they cry with you, or they come up and they understand. There's one boy at my school, when I had told him about Sinbad, he came up and he told me that his dog passed away just a few weeks before Sinbad. And he brought me a photograph of his dog, and he wanted me to have it. And he kept another photograph in his books, his folder. And to this day, because he's in grade 6 now, that's like a special bond between us, because he was going through the same thing I was going through. And we could share stories. And yeah, he helped me through that moment. A kid, right? My student. Also, to the deputy head at my school. He's now a homeroom teacher, but at the time when he was the deputy head, and Sinbad had passed, and I had called in. I didn't call in sick, but I did explain what was going on, and because I had to make the appointment for the funeral. When I came to school after the funeral, or the following day, he kind of pulled me aside and he took out his wallet and he showed me a picture of a Pomeranian, and he said, do I have a runny nose? Sorry if that's gross. He had a photo of a Pomeranian, and he said that this was his childhood dog, or his Pomeranian that he had for a long time, and he keeps the photo always in his wallet. And his family, I guess they've had Pomeranians in their family all their life, so they have, I think, 4 dogs or 3 at the moment. And so I was really touched by that, because here, he didn't have to show me this photo, but I think he understood. So I'm just like, oh. And yeah, I think you'll find comfort, even if it's just online, because all of you guys, you helped me through a really, really difficult time in my life. And so I think if you have online people that you follow, or that you know, that understand, connect with them. And even if they can't change your situation or do anything, I think you'll find the energy and the comfort that you get just from having them in your life, thinking about you, or saying, I'm sorry, or you have my condolences. It does give you comfort. Oh, sorry, this is a little out of order, but getting back to the journey. On the 100th day is when the soul has departed. And I believe that that's the day they come back. The spirit comes back to say goodbye, or the soul comes back to say goodbye. And so what I did was I put food in Sinbad's altar, and I just kept imagining that he's coming back. I'm showing them that I'm okay, but he's missed. He's showing me that he's okay. And shortly after the 49th day that I got, actually, no, I take that back. It was on the 49th day, exactly that I got Bandit. Because in my head, I was believing that one soul is going and a new one is reborn. And Bandit was the one that Sinbad was sending to me. That's just the way I thought about it. Really, your mindset and the way you think is going to help you through a lot of things. And, you always have to tell yourself, you gave your pet the best life possible. And your pet knows that you love them and that you cared for them. I honestly believe that. They take with them the love that you had for them. I think it would have been harder for me if Sinbad had passed while I was away at school and I didn't see it happen. But I found so much comfort knowing that I could say goodbye to him, and that I just, in my mind, it was so peaceful that it gave me peace. And hopefully you could have that if you have to be with your pet when it's their time to go. Just, they'll know. They'll know. Okay, one thing that I wrote down here that you can do to maybe help with the sadness is do something that you weren't able to do for a while. I know with Sinbad being a senior pet, I really couldn't travel at all. I didn't sleep, or I didn't... Wait, I'm going to wipe my nose because I think it's dripping. With a senior dog especially, or if your dog is ill or going through, weak moments, it's really hard to travel. It's really hard to stay out late. It's really hard to go somewhere for the day and leave your pet alone. So allow yourself to do that if you can. Even if it means just doing a staycation or going somewhere in your state or country or city. And I guess it's like a grieving vacation, but just allow yourself to maybe do something for you, for your mental health, for your physical health, your emotional health. Yeah, maybe it could be after you clean out the house or after you decide what to do with belongings and all that stuff. That was another thing. I had a lot of belongings, like extra food and stuff that I didn't want to go bad. And I wanted to take it to a dog shelter. Unfortunately, the dog shelters that I went to, I had contacted one and they never got back to me. But I was able to contact a dear friend, and I was able to donate and give a lot of Sinbad's stuff and treats and things to him. So, yeah, so it is kind of hard to do that clean out thing, but maybe you thinking that all the extra food and treats will help another dog, or if you take it to a shelter or something, that gives you a little bit of, I don't know, joy, or knowing that you're helping out. And the last thing I wrote, allow yourself time to grieve. It doesn't get... It doesn't get any easier. I don't care whether it's people or a pet. You'll have good days and bad days, and it's hard. It's a sucky part of life, but it's something we also choose to do when we choose to take care of a pet. Then we have to accept that most likely we're going to live longer than our pet. It makes getting a new pet difficult. For me, the hardest part was just the loneliness in the house. It was not being greeted at the door when I came home after work or after anywhere. It was not having having somebody like take up all the bed or come snuggle next to me. It was just the presence of not having my dog next to me really was difficult. And I think I knew I couldn't live like that. I couldn't live without, I needed another pet. And it was not saying that I was being disrespectful to Sinbad by getting a pet so soon. For me, it was knowing that Sinbad would understand. If and when you get a new pet, you're going to know when the time is right. You're going to know whether or not it's the right decision for you. Because I do know people that once their pet is passed, it's too difficult to get another and go through everything again. For me, when I looked at different rescue options, it was too hard for me to think about getting another senior dog because I knew I would only have a short time and I would have to go through the same thing I just went with Sinbad if I got a senior dog. I also was hesitant to get a dog that was displaced, although I know like there's a lot of dogs that need good homes because their owners either passed away in the earthquake or the tsunami. And then I always thought, well, it's like, I don't know, I think it takes special people for different types of pets and different situations. And I think magically you do find each other somehow. So, yeah, it's something that you can start thinking about. But it's not fair to your new pet, I think, if you're still really, really having a difficult time coping with the loss of your pet. So everyone just has to decide from themselves. I know that's not the greatest of advice. I think it's just trust yourself. You'll know. All right. I don't know if I was able to help you, Not a Toxic Gaming Channel. I hope you know that there are a lot of people that understand what you're going through and connect with them. Connect here anytime. And this is one of those times I think we have to be strong for our pets and make sure that the send-off is going to keep them strong on their journey. Like I said, my image, what I like to believe is they're up there looking at us and they do come to visit us in our dreams. And they do come and visit us in ways that you don't expect, but you know it's them. So, yeah, look forward to that because I do. And even though I can't physically hold Sinbad or my previous husky or my previous poodle, I know that they're there watching, and I know that when I hopefully go to the same place where they're at, I'll see them again. And yeah, I just have to believe happy thoughts like that to keep me going forward, taking care of this little one, and knowing that we're all going to be okay. All right, I hope that helped. For those of you that have also joined us on this little video, thank you for stopping by. And if you have any comments, or if you have any ways that you could help people that are going through the loss of a loved one or a beloved pet, please feel free to share and connect. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.